Good evening. It's nice to see you COVID ready, Mr. Davis.
Do you reckon that's all right?
Yeah, I think that's brilliant.
Pretty apt, isn't it? Uh-oh, slipping down.
Anyway,
welcome to episode 7 of the Wedcast.
Episode 7 already. Wow.
Crazy. Let's chat music and weddings and and Lynne and Lovey Dovey.
So how are you feeling, Les?
I feel very flustered today.
I can see.
That was a crazy 20 minutes build up to this. Obviously, people don't see what's going on behind the scenes. And I think I've lost a stone in weight from that stress.
Yeah, just so people know, give people some idea in case they're thinking too much into it. Nothing was working before we went live.
But it is now.
Yeah, it all seems to be working fine. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So, you okay?
I'm excellent, thank you. I'm really, really looking forward to this episode. I say that every week, but this is something I'm quite passionate about, as well as I know our guest is.
Yeah.
I'm really
done some research. You told me, so I'm looking forward to that.
I've done my research. Yeah, I've done my research definitely this week.
Excellent. So we are this week chatting to Lynne Morgan from Lovey Dovey, UK.
Yeah, absolutely.
Specialist dove release for weddings, and we will also be chatting to Lynne about a thing called the Wedding Guild of Wales, which we won't say too much about. No. Lynne can explain all that, and we're going to discuss on how bride and grooms select trusted services. Trusted, the right word? Yeah. Trusted, let's go with trusted services for now, because it's a lot of time in advance you book people, and it's a lot of money some services are, and we are going to discuss on how you find people who are going to rock up and deliver the service you are paying for, basically,
Yeah. And let's be clear on this. For the vast majority of people, you're going to have one wedding day. It's really, really important that you choose the right suppliers, because you're not going to get a rerun. And that's 100%. Why we are passionate about it, and I know Lynne's really passionate about it. So I genuinely can't wait to get into the details of it. So yeah. That's great. So who are you, Les? Because we haven't done that bit. You flustered me with your mask.
So I am Les Davis from Clicks Photography and Film, wedding photographer and videographer over 13 or so years. Been shooting weddings for a very long time now. Feel I know quite a lot about weddings, or I wouldn't be doing this, I guess. And it's really nice to be here helping out bride and grooms.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'm James Hawker. I'm a wedding magician. My company's name is James Hawker Magic. I provide wedding entertainment, amongst other things. I also feel I know quite a lot about weddings, although I am finding out and learning something new on each and every episode of the Wedcast. Yeah. And something that I wish I had known before planning my own wedding. So it's working for me.
Me too. I totally agree. And what is the Wedcast?
So the Wedcast is your opportunity to have honest and frank discussions, and they really are honest and frank, with wedding professionals about services in general, about their service, and what we can do to enhance your day. It's about giving you information so you can make an informed choice. It's really as simple as that. Les, what isn't the Wedcast?
We are not here to sell. We are not doing the big sales. We are only here for advice, giving our advice. Some people may not think our advice is any good, but we've been in the game a long time between us. And then obviously with our guests coming on, add more years onto weddings. So the advice we can give is quite solid advice, I reckon. But we're not here to do the big sale. I'm not here to try and sell my photography. In fact, we'll be having other photographers on. We've already had other magicians on, which, this isn't about trying to get people to book me. This is about
not at all.
us giving information to people out there. And if we can help one person, like we say, it's a bit of a motto now. If we can help one person, then I'm happy to do this, So that's really cool.
Awesome.
Can I just say the Liverpool are the champions of the Premier League? So let's move on.
Football at the moment.
I'm just proud of it. Do you know what I mean?
You can be proud. I'm glad for you. I just being a Chelsea fan, things are a little bit iffy at the moment, and Chelsea are playing tonight as well, and I'm really scared about that. But so another episode.
Okay, so we got a few people watching on Facebook and YouTube. We're going live. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. If you've got any questions, please comment, and they'll come up live on the screen. Be really nice. We had quite a few last week, which was really cool. So please give us some questions. We'll try and answer them the best we can. So we are episode 7. Wow. And we have Lynne Morgan waiting in the wings for us from Lovey Dovey. Should we bring it on, James?
Hang on a minute. I'm ready.
Oh, yeah.
This is so cheesy, but we got to do it. Ready?
Boosh. Wow, look at that.
Good evening, baby McGeelan. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm okay. And you too?
Excellent. Thank you. Doing well.
The pressure's come down a little bit now after that, issues we were having with the audio and stuff. I'm still feeling a bit flustered. But that happened. You know what I mean? So it's live. And that's the beauty of it. So thank you so much for coming on and spending an hour with us. You're looking fab there in your wonderful, what's that? Your room with your where you keep your baskets and stuff and cages, is it?
Yeah, it's my little workshop. So it's got my computer in there, and it's got all my cages and, as Rod would call it, my rubbish, all my flowers, everything happens in this room.
So it's Lovey Dovey headquarters.
It's Lovey Dovey headquarters, but not the most important thing. The most important headquarters is where the birds live, and obviously not in this room.
No.
So am I presuming? I mean, we're going to this more now. Am I presuming they live in like a cot? Is that right?
Well, sort of, Les. They actually live in the sky most of the time, but they've got lofts where they come back and forth throughout the day, and where they sleep at night, and that's just a couple of miles up the road from where we live.
And I obviously we're friends on Facebook, Lynne, and I've seen your coop. Is it a coop or a loft? I know Les referred to it as a coop.
You can call it what you like. Yeah. Luxury housing for birds.
Yeah, and it really does look quite luxury. I'm not. When I seen you on there the other day, it does look very, very impressive.
Our lofts are nicer than my house.
And that's, I think, I'm sure that's, me. Well, I'm not sure if that is an exaggeration. I've never been to your house, but
it's not.
Just looking at your business, how you seem to really like the animal welfare side of it seems really important to you. At least that's what I garner from just the stuff that you put out, and obviously, for anybody who takes care of animals, that is really important.
Well, that's the core of our business. Without a team of birds that we can rely on to fly back home to us, that want to come back home to us after the bride and groom releases them, we got nothing, have we? So, animal welfare, the whole business centers around the welfare of our animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a little hello here, Lynne. I think you know this gentleman.
I can't even see because you made me go on my phone.
Yeah.
Hello, Alex.
Hi, Alex. How are you doing? Another great service there, mind.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, so
I quite enjoy watching Alex's magic trick videos as well. I got to be honest.
Yeah, he's a budding magician.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, more than budding, I think.
He's also got wonderful light up letters as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you are Lovey Dovey UK.
Yep.
And you specialize in dove release. Not just weddings, but obviously it's a wedding live stream, so we can discuss weddings. But you do other things with the doves as well, not just weddings.
Yeah, we do. Well, in line with weddings, we do quite a lot of blessings or vow renewals, anniversaries, but we do also do funerals and memorials as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing this now, Lynne?
13 years, just over 13 years.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Wow. Well, it's the same as us, actually.
Yes,
13.
I thought
The
13
magic
was
number.
unlucky for some, but it's really lucky for us three.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The 13th year isn't very good, is it? To be fair, 2020.
Oh, yeah. Good point, Lynn. Good
Very
point.
We've had a few challenges, shall we say? But
Mm.
yeah, we just got to take that on the chin and move on, haven't we? But yeah, 13 fantastic years that I feel personally very lucky and very grateful to have had.
Yeah, me too.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
So can I ask, Lynn, why start the business and what's the story behind? What is Lovey Dovey's story?
Oh gosh. Okay, Rod has had pigeons as pets since he was 14 years of age.
Yeah.
And he started racing them when he was about 15, 16. And when I met him, we are on our first date, his chat up line was, or one of them, you'll have to come and see my pigeons. I said, oh God, I got 1 year, haven't I? And when I went up there, I was completely shocked by how beautiful these pigeons were and how fantastic
they were
he
actual
was.
pigeons, were they?
Yeah.
Ah, all right. I thought you meant something like, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and how brilliant he was with them. And for years and years, I always wished there was something we could do with the skills that he had with these birds, because you'd get pigeon flyers from all over the place. If they had a bird that was sick or injured, they'd come to Rod to help sort it out. He was so knowledgeable, and I just always wished, and we did think at one time of opening like a pet shop specifically for racing pigeons.
Yeah.
But we decided no, we didn't want to do that. And then one day we were coming back from the gym, and Rod said to me that he'd been practicing. He's a technophobe, my husband. He can only just about use a mobile phone, and he'll admit that openly. But he was made to practice on his PC for work. And to get him interested and used to the keyboard and Google, they told him to look at stuff for his racing pigeons. And in doing so, he found a site in Canada that did white homing birds for weddings. Wow. And he told me about it. And then a few months later, we were all ready to go. So that's why we started, because I wanted to show off what he can do and these beautiful birds as well, because they are wonderful and they're so clever.
I think it's a common thing with businesses, isn't it? I know, Les's and mine, we've got into it because we love doing it. Yeah. And everything around it. And then it kind of develops. So initially a hobby that develops into a business, and just honed over years and of experience. But that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And what I was going to say is that going back to what you just said, they are intelligent animals. I still think it's insane how they can actually do what they do.
Yeah,
I mean, I've worked with you many times on weddings, Lynne, and when the doves are released, I mean they're off, and obviously I see the moment where they're taking off. So I'm trying to capture a lovely moment, which is quite difficult, really, sometimes, because although the bride and groom are letting them off, sometimes they might go that way or this way. You got to be ready for them. So I'm not concentrating too much, but I'm waiting on that moment when they're being and they're gone, and then they're gone, and I'm thinking, how do they know where they're going? It's one of them mysteries in life which nobody can explain. I don't think it's crazy.
They can't, and like there are different theories around, like they follow rivers or the magnetic fields. That could be the case. But nobody really knows. The bottom line is they come home because they love where they live. And many, when we first started, Rod being sort of from racing pigeon background, they always train their birds in the same direction. When they're young birds, they take say they were training them from Bristol, or they wanted them to fly from Bristol, they would start quite locally and then go further and further and further towards Bristol to get them to come home. So they're always going in the same direction.
Okay.
But when we first started, Rod was in work and he told me where to get birds to go to a wedding in Somerset. And I was so excited that in this wedding, I met Jamie Oliver was one of the guests there, and he came and had his photo taken with me. I was away with the fairies that day. I thought it was fantastic. And then Rod always rings me to ask me what birds, because we take spare birds, what spare birds am I bringing back? And when I told him, he said, you went in the wrong shed. Those birds are trained from Haverfordwest, not Somerset. And you can imagine the horror. It was awful. But by the time I got to the Severn Bridge, I stopped and had a cup of coffee, and Rod's dad messaged me to say that all the birds were home.
Wow.
So my theory is that as long as they are fit and healthy, they'll fly back from anywhere.
Yeah.
That's
We've got a comment. We've got a comment here to what it could be. Now, this person is pretty good at taking photographs, but I wouldn't. She reckons she's got a. So Rachel Lambert thinks it's the Earth's magnetism. She saw it on
because she saw it on a nature program. But sorry, Rach, nobody knows, and nature programs don't know. Nobody knows.
Get back to taking photographs.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody knows. They do say magnetic fields, rivers. Some people even say it's motorways. Well, that's a load of rubbish because they used these birds in the war. They didn't have motorways in the war.
Yeah.
Right back from France and Germany and whatever. So it's just
that theory.
Yeah, they just very, very intelligent animals and very underestimated.
I totally agree. I think it's one of them things in the world that nobody will ever know. They'll have their theories, but we never know, do we?
Nobody knows.
Okay, so can I just ask? So say that I like I said, you're a popular service. I see you at many weddings. Why do brides book you? Is it because is it a sentimental reason behind it? Is it because they want to have lovely photographs? What is it? Why should I have you at my wedding then? Why do brides book you?
There's three main reasons. They do like to have lovely photographs, and we try our best with the cages and everything to make sure that the birds look pretty, But the three main reasons, the doves actually mate for life. Once they choose a partner, they stay together. When you do your vows, you promise to love each other for life. Yeah. So when you come outside, then you're celebrating that vow of fidelity by releasing two birds. Yeah. The other reason, which is one of the most popular, I probably think is the most popular reason, is if the family on either side have got loved ones that can't be with them on their wedding day. Yeah. And some people will have memory tables or like a brooch and they bouquet, which is lovely, that type of thing. But what families have said to us over the years is that when they release the doves to pay tribute to the memory of those that can't be with them, it's very uplifting. And that's simply because when you release the birds, everybody looks up, and that in itself just makes people smile. So they say, I've had like fathers of the bride or best men that are doing speeches, and they are absolutely dreading mentioning somebody close to the family that has passed away because it's nerve-wracking. It's got to be done sensitively.
It's not an easy thing to do, is it?
It's not an easy thing. And I've had, it must be hundreds over the years, come up to me afterwards and said, "Oh, I'm really glad you've done that because it's broken the ice of a very difficult subject."
Yeah.
So that's a really popular way. Of course, we build it in with the speech. We write all our own speeches for each couple, and we build that into the speech, and we sort of put it in between the romantic bit, where why the doves are there, and we then sort of always after we do the tribute, we make people laugh, and simply just by telling them the names of the birds, because we've got over 400 birds there. They've all got names, and when we name the birds, everybody laughs. So straight away, it's back to happy days.
Do you know what I was just going to say, right? That obviously when you do your section on the day, it always seems like a poignant sort of serious sort of moment in a wedding. I always found, but I was going to say you always end it with a bit of laughter, and you just took the words right out of my mouth there.
Well, it's a wedding at the end of the day, isn't it? And I think it's important to loads of couples to remember loved ones, but they don't want to do it in a way which is going to cause upset to everybody else. So that's the way that we do it, and it seems to be really popular. The other reason is as the doves start their journey off together from the wedding venue, the bride and groom or the couple are starting their journey together. And that symbolises the start of that journey for them, you know, a new chapter in their lives. And some people then have them to celebrate the joining of two families within that. So, you know, the joining of two families coming together, celebrating the love that's there for these newlyweds. And that's another nice reason. But there's lots and lots of reasons why people have them, but they are by far the most popular ones.
Yeah. Totally agree. I'm just going to share your website, Lynne, if that's okay, a minute.
Yeah, you share. Yeah.
So your website is loveydoveyuk.com.
It is. Please don't forget, Les. Let me just say, don't forget to put the UK in, because if you do loveydovey.com, you'll go to a completely different website. And if you've got children around you, you won't want them to see it. So make sure you get that UK in.
Clearly, that's been done a few times then, is it?
Back in the day, I haven't checked it for years, but back in the day, yes.
It's one of them things, though. Curiosity killed the cat.
Don't do it, Les. Don't do it. You'll never be the same.
I won't be able to unsee it. So important. www.loveydoveyuk.com. And a really lovely website as well, Lynne. Really, really nice.
Thank you. A lot of effort gone into that.
Yeah, it's a really, really lovely little website.
Over the years, we've had, you know, I know web designers will come to you and say, oh, your website is this and your website is that. But we even from fellow wedding suppliers, when I've asked opinions, oh, it's far too wordy, people are going to get bored. But I feel because we're dealing with animals and because our couples are booking animals, they need to have as much information about the birds as they can. So I make no apologies whatsoever for putting that information on there, because I want people to book us 100% peace of mind that we look after our birds.
Now, do you know what? Again, I was going to say this, right? Because I looked at your website previous. Now, I thought it was really, really important. Now, I see you a lot. I know you quite well. I don't know nothing about doves, right?
No.
So I come on here to have a little look around, see what's what, and get some information. Now, I can't believe you got a section on here like our flock.
Yeah.
And there's pictures of all the birds. There's pictures of with the rings on the legs. There's a picture of what's this there? The coop.
Yeah.
Right? Do you know what I mean? I think that's really, really important because it shows.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit about your doves here. There's a picture of their home. There's a picture of nutrition and training. They're free to fly. They're in safe hands. I think that's because I never thought about animal cruelty, I guess. Do you know what I mean? But it really shows that you love these animals, you know?
I was saying it. Sorry, Lynne, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think this is the most important page on our website for a lot of people. You know, it's hopefully gives an insight that we are knowledgeable, because I know you can go on some websites and they say nothing about the birds and about the training, and that's each to their own. But I like to think that before people send us an email or a Facebook message or pick up the phone, that they are comfortable that they spending their money with people that care about the flock.
That's right. Very, very good.
You know, at the beginning, you know, I said it was pretty evident as well from all of, you know, not just your website, but your social media, that how important animal welfare is to you. And for me personally, if the reason why you want dove release at your wedding is about symbolism and is about the journey, that surely must be fundamental to why you want to, you know, to that service, isn't it? You know, it's like, Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, I would say for like the vast majority of people, and I got to say, we've been, like I said, 13 years. We've done, I've lost count of how many weddings we've done, but I know it's over 3,500 weddings in that time. And there's only one bride that I can recall that kicked up a bit of a fuss because we wouldn't release the doves on her wedding day because it was quite away from where they live, and it was absolutely belting down. And I don't mean just a little bit of rain. They can fly from most places in light rain, but this was like stair rods coming off the floor, and they were her birds. She paid for them. You got to let them go. And I thought, well, if I let them go, they won't get home.
Of course.
So and that's the only we've been really lucky with the type of customer that we seem to attract. They're all really understanding. They know where we are with animal welfare before they book us, and that gives us peace of mind as well.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think it leads us into the next question, really, is about, do you have any tips for people hiring a service like yours? And obviously, one of the main ones we've covered, haven't we, is, making sure that they actually care about the animals and that's reflected in their business. But are there any others, Lynne?
Oh, I would just, you've got to do your research. And I think what we always do with the couples is invite them to come and see where the birds live. So I think that's a good indication that you're proud of what you're doing with the birds. If you don't get that opportunity to go and see where the birds live, then I would that to me would signal danger. Because honestly, throughout the UK, we've known people. In fact, in about 6 or 7 years ago, we had somebody start up in Blackwood, and we knew they'd started up. They used to do chair covers and things, and they rang us to say, look, we bought 12 birds. We let them out the other day. We've only got 3 left. What do you know what's happened to them? We don't think we can do this. Do you want these 3 birds? And I went up to collect them to give them a good life, and they were in the back of his garage. Wow. And I'm just thinking, you have to have homes for them that are fit for purpose, that they want to come back to. That's the whole point of it. That's why they called homing birds. Because they need to want to come home.
Wow.
So that would be a big thing, is just make sure, and again, look at the websites, look for the knowledge, because if they haven't got any knowledge, they're not going to put it on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think your website is really exposed, as in really open. Then I guess it's telling you about the birds, it's telling you about you and Rod. Because Rod does help a lot, doesn't he? I know we're talking about you, but
Rod's the most important part of the business, Les. He's up there, because he works full time as well, but he's up there before work, in his lunch breaks sometimes, and after work, before he comes home, he's with those birds every day. And it's him is to do with all the nutrition, the training.
And I guess with, say like me and James now, I come home from a wedding and I put my cameras down, get the cards out, back up all the images, and I'm done. I probably wouldn't see them cameras then unless I got some free time and I'll go out and do a shoot, or I have a portrait in between, or I'll shoot another wedding. If I don't use them cameras, they could be sitting there for 3 weeks, where you have to go and deal with them birds every single day, I guess, don't you?
Yeah.
At least, because when we first started, because Rod had pigeons, I just said, well, it's not going to be any different. You're up here every day, twice a day, looking after the pigeons. It's not going to be any different having white birds. But of course, when you've got a photographer like yourself, Les, with fantastic lenses on the cameras, they'll show up every single mark on those birds. So they have got to be 100% pristine. For us to take them to a wedding. And Rod, we don't touch the birds, as in bath them or anything like that. They do that themselves. If it doesn't rain for over a week, where they can have a shower, they do jump in. We put a little bath in the aviary for them, and that's just rainwater. But Rod makes sure their environment is clean and hygienic, so that the birds are always looking fit, healthy, and clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are always pristine. I mean,
They
I've
are.
got plenty of photos
They
of,
have
you,
to be.
of the doves there, and they're always white,
Yeah.
which I know are silly, but they are pure white. It's just really clean.
They are. There's not a mark on them. Not
No, there's not.
a single mark on them.
There's not. So,
No.
Lynn, if somebody was watching now and they were thinking, oh, do you know what? I really think a dove release would be wonderful to, one, because they, perhaps they like doves, you know what I mean? They are a beautiful symbolism of a partnership, or they want to celebrate somebody's life, which can't be there, etc. What would they, I mean, obviously, apart ringing you, what would the process be then after that? What's the consultation like with you,
we would obviously make sure we're available. They pay a reservation fee, and then 4 weeks before the wedding they pay the balance, but at that time then they would come to the lofts and have a practice, so that they are comfortable holding the birds on the day, and just, if not more importantly, the birds are comfortable with them holding them. So it's we always say to couples, it's not necessary, but it's something we like them to do, and it's an option. So at that 4 weeks, then we would talk about colours for me to decorate the cages and baskets.
Yeah.
We would talk about content for the speech that we write especially for them, and then that would be
individual to that couple.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really good. Okay, cool. So you're married?
I am.
How long have you been married now?
23 years this year.
Wow.
I know.
What was your wedding like?
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. Where did you get married?
Yeah, we got married. Well, we got married exactly a year to the day that we had our first date. And we got married in De Courcy's Manor.
Oh, lovely.
And it was just unbelievable. Everybody said, people still talk, when I meet up with my friends, they still talk about our wedding. And there wasn't all this, we didn't have like magicians and photo booths or anything like that. It was just literally not even chair covers back in those days. It was just flowers, a photographer, and a friend doing the video, which was a big mistake, but we won't go into that. And that a dress and rings, and that would be it. And good food and fabulous service. It was lovely.
And if you were saying it's good food, then it must be good food, because I know you and Rod, your like pastime is just experiencing different places, different places to try food, and I'm always seeing your social media feeds, you and Rod enjoying a meal. Well, you've probably been to every sort of place I know myself, and it's quite good, because I remember asking you once, what's this place like? Because I was thinking of taking Kate, and I had a lovely review of you when I went there, and it was wonderful food. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Tapping you up for a few of those, Lynn.
No problem. I've forgotten.
Lynn, we always ask. Oh, sorry, James. You're going to say something?
No, just going to say, that De Courcy's is a beautiful venue. It was in my top 3 in the first week.
Yeah. And was in your top 3 venues? We'll have we'll have to reassess all them and have a look.
Special. It's special to us.
Yeah, beautiful venue, well run. Do you have any? We always ask this, and obviously some people can't because they don't want to, because they don't want to perhaps mention names. Really, we don't have to mention names, but we like to see if you got any, because you've been doing this a long time now, like us. You must have a funny story, something has happened, or obviously you don't have to name names, or
no,
by the wedding, but
there's not some. Well, I don't know. The funny stories about sort of actually being on a wedding, and this has happened a couple of times, where it might not sound funny now, but when it happens, it is funny. The bride and groom are holding a bird each, and I always just say, give her a little kiss, for your photos. Sorry. And sometimes instead of kissing his wife, the groom will kiss the bird.
Oh, that's cool.
And it has made some lovely photos, and it is funny when it happens.
So that's happened quite a few times, is it?
Yes.
That's really good.
I must have got a collection of photographs where the groom has kissed the bird instead of his new wife.
Yeah.
That's
That is
cool.
pretty funny. I like that. Okay. Any more questions, James?
No, I think we're done for the questions, aren't we?
We're done. What's the time here? Well, we are running over as well.
I know. I can't believe it.
We can talk.
Do you want to see? Right, hang on a sec.
Oh,
Hang on.
have we got one?
I have. Look, just before we go and shut off with Lovey Dovey, have a look at that boot.
So what's boy or a girl, Lynne? Is that a stupid question?
This is a girl and her name is Freddie.
Freddie.
Boys and girls both white.
She's beautiful. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Look at her. She is pristine, Lynn. You weren't joking
And I can't
about that.
believe how tame it is.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not tame, Les.
Isn't they?
They're not tame. No. They would.
That
If I open my hands, then she'd be gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's like a special way to hold it, maybe, is it? Is that why you
Yeah,
show
yeah.
the grooms?
You've got to show her who's in control. She knows who's boss.
Yeah. But you show the bride and grooms how to hold it on the days, especially like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. That's one of the reasons they come for a practice. But if they can't come for a practice, because we know that, sort of 4 weeks before the wedding is quite a full-on time for couples, really, isn't it? But if they can't come for a practice, we just take out time with them on the day then.
Wonderful. Oh, that's really nice to know. A lot of information there.
No problem.
Very good. So website is, I got to get this right now, loveydoveuk.com.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
it. Yeah.
It's going down the bottom. You're like with ours. So if anybody is watching, or obviously watching after this, when this goes up on our pages, they're thinking of a dove release company, then I can honestly vouch for Lynne and say Lynne is probably one of, if not the best in Wales of a dove release company. Really professional, really friendly, really helpful. One lovely personality on you, Lynne. I got to be fair. You're really good. You're really good at weddings. I mean, you. I didn't realize you did a special piece for every individual. So that's really, I think that's a really special thing, I guess. So I mean, every wedding I am with you, it's always a wonderful moment. Everybody loves the moment, for sentimental times, or the show of it all. Do you know what I mean? Because it is a show. You don't just turn up with your dove. You got the big cages, and you got them on, like pedestals and things like that, and drapes and stuff around. It's a beautiful thing to photograph.
Thank you, Les.
No, it's my pleasure. I'm not just saying it. It's really, really, really nice. And hang on, there's somebody with a question here for you. Richard, do you want me to read it, or are you going to put your glasses on?
Oh, let's have a look.
Go on then.
Richard Mail. Oh, thank you, Richard.
Really nice. Another good photographer.
Yeah.
Good old Rich.
I like Rom.
And his wife's not too bad, what she does as well. She's all right,
She is. They're a nice couple. They're a nice couple.
Yeah, they are. They really are. I like teasing her though. Okay, so thank you so much for that. Really, really informative. So we are going to chat, because our next section, and this works out wonderful for you being here, is that me and James thought we would love to chat and discuss on how people sort of like they pick this wedding services, because it's a big commitment and it's a long time in advance that you book these people. How do people know that this service is going to be around, in a year or year and a half or 2 years sometimes? Time, are they going to deliver? I mean, are these, fully insured and stuff like that? Little safeguards that bride and grooms can look at. So
how can you trust them, innit? How do you trust them?
And I thought that we could just discuss this, and obviously with your involvement with this other section we're going to talk about now, the Wedding Guild of Wales. I wondered if we could just have a little chat about your involvement there and what the guild offers bride and grooms.
Okay, so you just said the big word there, haven't you? Trust. You've got to be able to trust people. And when we first started Lovey Dovey, we were the only dove release people in Wales at that time, and we needed to do a lot of advertising, and it wasn't so much like Facebook pages, I don't think existed at that time. So the only place to go was like magazines and newspapers. And after a couple of years of advertising in these this form of media, I was getting approached a lot, say by these people that run in them saying, "Oh, do you want to do a feature this month? We can put you down as our recommended supplier." And it always didn't sit right with me. I don't mind paying money to advertise, but when somebody says, "We'll advertise you, if you advertise with us, we'll recommend you," that always really,
right.
I just thought, my God, does bride and grooms know that this goes on? You know, you're paying for somebody to say they recommend you. And I was talking to Steve, and it was Glenda at the time as well, and Emma, and they felt the same. So we said, "Oh, we should set something up that's purely based on recommendations," and that's how the guild started. And
can I just stop you a second, because you mentioned
Yeah.
something really important there, and I forgot at the start of the show. Really sad news today that Steve and Gareth from Embrace Videography have announced they are calling it a day.
Well, it's not sad, Les. He's over the moon. He's been doing it for many years, and he can, like, he's loved doing it in his shows, in the films that they produce. They're amazing. But Steve is a man with a plan. He's just one of these people that probably, even when he started Embrace Videography, he probably had 2021 in his mind as the year that he was going to retire from doing what he was doing. And that's basically it. He's got lots to keep him busy, and he's loved doing it, and I'm sure in many ways it's going to be a wrench for him not to take new bookings on. But it's been a 5-year, I know it's been a 5-year plan with him, but as I said, knowing Steve as I know him, he probably thought of this plan back in 1970,
And what I mean by sad, I mean sad for the wedding industry, because they've been in this for a long time, and Steve and Gareth are such characters. And it's lovely working on weddings with them, and I'm really going to miss them. So I'm going to dedicate this show to Embrace Videography. Go on, lads. Go on.
No, we've done tons of weddings with them, and I'll miss them in that respect. But obviously, because of Steve's involvement in the guild and my wonderful Welsh wedding, then he's not going to disappear from my life, which is brilliant.
Yeah. So sorry to cut you off. You were talking about That's you and Steve got together, and
So we formed the guild with a handful of people, and we decided right at the start that we had to put some sort of rules in place so that the guild didn't get filled with our friends, because that is not a true way either of recommending suppliers. So that's why we set that criteria up, which we've got, and which is really rigid, so that although
I can attest to that, Lynne.
Sorry, James.
No, it's fine. I think I think
we got no say in who's in, if you see what I mean. Yeah, it's all done to that criteria, and there's no room for movement on it. So it's done.
You know what? I don't mind. Sorry to interrupt. I don't mind sharing that. Obviously, I'd love to be a part of the guild, and I haven't quite met the criteria yet. So when Lynne's saying it's rigid, I can promise you it's rigid.
I'm obviously part of the guild, right? Which I'm really happy to be. It's a really, really good thing, and I'm quite proud of that, really. But I mean, I qualified with the people recommending me in, but it took me ages to get in, Lynne, didn't it? Because obviously they were full with photographers, which I think is really good, because they don't just keep adding people in.
Yeah, and
I had to wait for somebody to leave before I could go in, which was a long time.
And the reason I've brought that up is because I want people to know that what you're saying is absolutely correct. Is people who are in the wedding guild have been recommended. They have fulfilled a very strict criteria, and it does give them more of an element of trust when you book. Well, a certain aspect of element of trust when you're booking, and that's really important for people who are watching this and are looking for suppliers. So sorry.
I think so, James. I think it's especially with the way Facebook operates, with Facebook pages and groups, where you can get everybody just signing up to them, and brides going on there looking for recommendations. They don't know who they're speaking to. I think at least with this, and it's not just the guild. It's like I think there's 90 members at the moment, and I would imagine that each one of those 90 members would also have at least another 20 or 30 people that they would highly recommend. So altogether, there's a massive pool of trustworthy suppliers in Wales that we know that we can go to. It's like the other day, somebody did come up to us and ask for a magician, and I think Lance and Jason, they were already taken up. So we pass them to yourself because we know that you're keen and you've passed most of the criteria. The only thing you're waiting for is for one other person. So there's that element to it as well. We've got friends
like that.
One day, one day we'll have another one of these Wedcasts. And we'll have a celebration one day. But I mean, Jason and Lance are brilliant magicians in their own right, and I'm sure they're very proud as Les is to be part of the guild. So
and you'll be there one day. You will be there one day. Just getting that. Is that you only got one tiny little step to go? And
I know. And to be honest, just made me want to be part of it even more. So
it's
so that's really good.
It's good for brides and grooms and couples. Is brilliant for them because we've done a lot of the hard work, whereas we've scrutinized every business that joins us to be as sure as we can be that they will still be in business in 2 years' time when the wedding takes place. But it's also great for us suppliers as well, and I think especially we've gone through a lot of challenges this year with the coronavirus. And places like the guild where we can motivate you, because that's what we've been doing. We've had a bit of a moan, haven't we? But also we can motivate each other as well, and that's what it's all about in the guild. It's a team.
Yeah. And what you were saying about scrutinizing people, that's a really interesting word, because that is what, if you're watching this and you're planning a wedding, that's what you need to be doing.
Yeah,
I know we're going to go on to talk about some of these tips, but the word scrutinize is a very, very apt word for the process you need to be undertaking. So
definitely,
because you get married once, and like I said, you invest a lot of money in services, and they're very much in advance. So I mean, it's a big thing for people, and a lot of trust is put into these people. And like you, Lynne, going back to what you said about the Facebook groups, Facebook pages, when people to these groups and I don't know, Cardiff buy and sell or whatever it is, and then they go, anybody knows a wedding photographer. If I'm 100% honest, right? This is a good, I was going to say this is bad business of me, but it's not. This is not about business at all. This is me being Les Davis, not Clicks Photography.
Yeah.
I don't really like it when people tag me in them pages. And that's the truth. I don't really like it, if I'm honest.
No, I think, to get ideas, I mean, there's some good groups out there and there's some not so good groups out there, but even with the good ones, it's a great place for couples to go to look for ideas and just get a bit of an idea of who's out there. If they've gone on and say, can you recommend a photographer? That to me rings alarm bells, because you've got maybe another 400, 500 brides and grooms on there, all giving you their recommendation. You don't know these other brides and grooms. You don't know what their budget is. You don't know what their style is. And you don't know whether photography is that important to these couples that are coming back, because there's different things. Like we spoke about earlier on, if I was getting married again, the venue would have it all for me, because I think that's the most, to me, is the most important thing. So I would spend more money on the venue than I would think of putting some money away for another service, because that's important to me. And I think, unless you know the people that you're asking for recommendations, all you're going to see are 250 to 300 photographers racing to the bottom of that page to give you the cheapest price.
That's right.
And how many of those do we see on a daily basis that come on and say, I booked a photographer and he's just let me down?
That's right.
I was just going to say,
that's a theme. It's not, it's not so much putting the groups down. It's not because we got to group ourselves. I'm not doing that at all. I'm just wanting people to be aware of what happens and to think about where they are going for their recommendations.
Yeah.
What I mean by groups is, I mean, like I said, Cardiff free ads or something. I mean,
Yeah.
That's not where you go to find photographer. That's not where you go to find a magician. That's not where you go to find wedding services. The free ads is not the place, and that's my bugbear really. If it's a wedding specialist group, like I don't know, weddings in RCT group, I don't even know if that exists, but you know, a wedding specialist group. So it's all wedding services, and people who are interested in weddings. Yes, I can understand why you would ask for that, but not in Cardiff free ads.
But
and even in those groups, Les, I can understand why you'd go on there and ask for it, because we sometimes it's easy for us to forget we do 200 and odd weddings a year, that this is the first time this couple are looking for a service. So they're going to go onto these groups and go onto the groups and ask for recommendations, but then don't take it that the people that are being recommended to you are going to be suitable for you. Do your homework. You have to do some research.
Yeah, I was going to add that, asking on the group is not the worst thing in the world, but be aware that should only be part of a process.
Exactly, and
not the entire thing. And let's be honest, right? Because the Wedcast is about being honest. I get phone calls a lot saying, we booked a magician, and it's different ones. It's not one in particular, and I wouldn't name names anyway.
No.
But we booked a magician. He's let us down. Are you available next Saturday? And I'm not. 99% of the time, I'm not. And this is you on your wedding. It's a week before your wedding, and whatever importance you place on magic, but this is insert any other service. They've let us down, and I can honestly say it's usually to do with it. This is not like a racket to try and get people to spend more, but it's usually to do with price, and it's usually because unfortunately people haven't done their due diligence, or to put it in a nicer way, don't know how to do the due diligence, which is why we're doing this episode.
And to back you up, James, I just had that in.
Oh, thank you very much, Ash. Yours was a beautiful wedding, so it was it was an honor to be a part of that. So thank you very much.
Oh, that's nice.
Thanks, Ashley. Cheers for the comment, man.
Yeah. Just to confirm, I haven't paid him.
It's just making sure that you take some advice from, and the other thing that I would say as well, most people book their venue before they book anything, and if you've trusted that venue enough to part with a lot of money, then also ask them who they'd recommend, because that's another good source of reliability. Might not be your cup of tea, but at least you've got somewhere to start from. This is going to be reliable for you, because those venues have seen like certain suppliers not just once, and that's why in the guild we ask for 3 existing members to recommend a new member on. But also within that, they have to have worked on at least 6 weddings with each of those suppliers, because a bride, you can go to a wedding and a bride and groom can experience a wonderful service. They can perhaps experience not so much of a wonderful service, but it's only once. Whereas your venue will have seen somebody, and the guild, we know that people will have worked together many, many times before they recommend it. So it's quite a safe bet.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've just got the website up here, Lynn. I don't know if you can see it now.
Let me get my glasses on, Les.
The website is theweddingguildofwales.co.uk, which takes you to this page here. And then obviously bride and grooms can have a little look through. There's lots of information on here. It's about the guild, how the guild became around. Just here. There's Steve. Good old Steve. And Emma as well, and yourself. And then we've also got, you can click on suppliers. And you can go down, I don't know, let's go to photography beans. I'm here. So you can click that, and you can go down. So all these photographers in the guild with me. So Adrian Thomas, ALS, Anne Lewis, Clay Price, me, Kate Adams, Lewis Fracknell, Mark Nichols, Martin Phillips, got a got a Martin Woodcock as well. Rachel Lambert, been on earlier. Sally Upbill, Studio Kutch. So these have all been vetted. So these I am paid to be in the guild. My camera's off now. I am paid to be in the guild at all. I'm in there because I was scrutinized, like James was saying, and put through my paces to make sure that I was a proper company, which I think is really, really important. Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Shall we lead on to, at the end of every show, we try to come up with like the top 10 tips, and we kind of take it in turns to come up with a tip. Should we start that now?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I'm really pedantic, okay, and my wife hates it, but I've got quite a long list, so I'm willing to go first on this one. Sounds a given, but check if they've got insurance.
That's right.
Really? I mean, it seems obvious, but it's not obvious if you haven't hired a service before. I have £10 million worth of public liability insurance. It sounds silly, but it happens where magicians do a trick with a ring. It's not something, especially with a wedding ring on a wedding day, that I would ever consider doing, because you wouldn't want them to take it off. But if a stone goes missing, you've got it's the little things, things you could never think of that insurance will cover. So that's my first tip.
Really good tip. And again, same with me. I could be at a wedding and I'm in a really old church and there's some artifact on the wall or something, and photographers always got the cameras to the faces, so I can't really see what's behind me, and we always back up, and then I've knocked the vase over, and it's £1 million vase, and it's going back on the bride and groom if I haven't got insurance, but obviously I have.
Ming Dynasty vase.
Do you know what I mean? So it's really important stuff. Like I could smash them at the venue, which I did in one venue. I backed up and smashed the picture on the wall. Like, I knew the venue very well. It was like, oh, let's do it again, and we're going to have you send the boys. But it was fine. But that could be a venue which was really having to go with our bride and groom because I weren't insured. They weren't proper company.
Yeah,
and it's back on them. Then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so go next. Do you want to go, Lynne, or me?
Yeah, well, I don't mind.
Go on then. Go on.
I'll go. Okay. You want me to go?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, another good thing is what we've seen the last year or so. Make sure your venue is happy for a particular supplier to be there too.
Yeah.
Okay. We know that the Vale Resort back 2 years ago brought something in because they'd not just them. It's quite common. They might have had suppliers there that weren't insured, that had caused damage that couldn't be replaced, that type of thing. They've now got a list of suppliers that have also been vetted through risk assessments, method statements, that type of thing, so that that if they venue approved, then that's another good, they've got a good reputation, haven't they?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say as well.
I think it goes a really long way because the venue would not recommend something if they thought one, ruin our wedding day or make it hard work for them as a venue.
Exactly.
Because I'm a recommended supplier in a few venues, and I really hold on to that, right? Because
it's precious.
They wouldn't have me or recommend me if they thought I was going to be late every time I went there, because that's messing them up and messing the bride and groom up. So they wouldn't do it, So the venue holds a lot of power, I think.
They do, and I think this will be sort of a trend, and not so much because the venues, they won't want to tell you what you can and can't have in a broader sense of the word, but they can give you some guidance and they can tell you whether somebody's approved at that venue or not. And I think that's going to be something that's coming in more and more as, venues are going to want to protect their reputation as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, that's a wonderful. We'll mark that down and get that up. That's a really good one.
What's your one, Les?
My one. Oh, I got a couple of you, Jim. So
he says that every week.
I would say Do you know what? It's a simple one. Ask your friends who've been married, because they also wouldn't recommend services which weren't very good on their day.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, the services sometimes people do on the same services as friends have had because they just want it a bit special to them. And I get that sometimes.
Yeah,
but I think people who don't mind having services their best friend have had, I think that's really good, because if on my wedding day, and I'm just saying it, I would say all the services in my wedding were great. I'd recommend them all. Oh yeah, I always forget you were there.
Thanks, bud.
Apart from you, but no, I'm joking. But if somebody said to me, "Oh, do you know a magician?" Then James done a great job in my day, so I would recommend him. If he didn't do a good day, I'm not going to see him. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's ask your friends, ask people who'll be married that you can trust.
Yeah.
Back to me. That was a good one as well, Oles, in fairness. That's another one off my list. So it's slightly broader, but image. So when we looked at Lynne's website, and in fairness, all of the other people that's been on the Wedcast, it says everything about them. It looks really good quality. It's very, very professional. And that's something that's conveyed not just on Lynne's website, but it's also on the social media. And I think that's really, really important.
Social media is really good as well.
Because if they care about their image, they care about the service, and I think it makes them more likely to care about their service on your day.
Yeah.
So that's my second tip.
Yeah. And social media, I think when you say website, I think social media is really important as well.
Oh, yeah, everything. I like to see custom email addresses. I like to see, numerous social media channels. There's a lot, but that's individual preference to me. But image in general is very important.
I also think...
Yeah, and it also gives you an indication of how much they invest in their business. And what you just said there, a custom email rather than like Lovey Dovey at hotmail.com is Lynne at Lovey Dovey UK. I've invested in that professional email because that's the image that I want to portray for my business.
Yeah, me too.
And I would say as well, social media is brilliant, but on its own, you can delete a social media page in 2 seconds flat, and you're not traceable. Yes. Whereas if you've got a website, a landline, an address on your site as well, then you're going to be more accountable to people that perhaps can't get hold of you, because we know we see this a lot. So I would always say to make sure that it's not just somebody with a Facebook page that you're thinking of booking.
Me too.
Make sure that they've invested in their business. And again, going back to the website, look at the website. Have they got are they copying somebody else's style? Have they got somebody else's images on there? It's a hard one. But if you want to do your due diligence, as you said earlier on, I think that's a good place to start, really.
And also with websites, like now, where do we know? July? I don't know where we are because of COVID.
July.
If you go to my website now and there's a Christmas offer on there from last year, then that's bad. That shows that website is not upkept, and I think that reflects on the business.
You haven't invested. You're not investing your time.
That's right, because some websites still got Valentine's Day offers on there. That was months ago. Yeah, I don't get it, but I think that's really important. Is check out the social media and online.
Yeah. Can I mention a couple of tools? I know I'm laboring my point, I suppose, but there's other things like check what they're saying, because I know a lot of people say award winning, especially, and I've asked them because I know them.
On award winning.
Yeah, exactly. So so there we are. So that's triggered Lynne. I'm glad, really, because it triggers me. But there are 2 things which I think are important. One is called Dupli Checker, which if somebody says they've been going 60 years, you can type in their domain name and it tells you when the domain was first started. Yeah. That's important because I might have had my new domain name for a year, but I can give them my old domain names. Yeah. And then the other one, which is very important, is Web Archive. So if I wanted to see, for example, my website in March 2016, Google, I don't know if people know this, but saves the images, saves the version of the site, so I can check it. And those are little things which I am pedantic, but those are little things that I like to look for and see, if you have been going 10 years, I want to know that's true, because you can write anything. So anyway, that's my bit.
And like you touched on award winning, unless they're industry specific awards, like I know that the photography section, they get a lot of awards based on the quality of their work, which is judged by other really top photographers. So unless they're industry specific, again, I would that don't mean anything to me, and not just with weddings, with any type of shopping. If award winning this, award winning that, don't mean anything to me. But reviews do.
Yeah, that's another good tip.
That's another good thing. Again, with social media, people get their friends and whatever to do reviews. They ask for them. I ask for reviews from people that have used my services, but I would never sort of, message my friends and say, "Oh, do me a favor, will you put a review up for me?" Because I just, it's not something I would do, but I know it gets done.
I think it's important to reviews up and all, because I mean, if you have done a good service, then people should know your review is really good. But asking your best mate just to say, "Oh, pretend I did your wedding," is a no-no on it.
And you can usually tell. So there are some sort of telltale giveaways on when you look on social media. So some people, when they come back and review you, they put dates in, perhaps, of the wedding or where the wedding was. Whereas the ones that tend to be made up are just, so and so was brilliant. End of. It's check the reviews.
Yeah, I agree. Me now? Is it me?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There we go. And then it's Lynne, and then we're done. Okay. So I would say to make sure they're traceable, as in, so if you go look for me on Google, you'll see like my house, I guess, or where I'm based from. So I mean, some people, like you said, that's all it is an email address. But it's important, like, just check lots of other stuff out, email address, mobile phone number, if they're showing on Google Business, because I think that's really important, because there's a lot of people, you can just hide behind a computer screen or hide behind a brand. A lot of people get caught out with that, because I know we're talking about websites and stuff, and you will be able to see through fake ones, I guess, but you can create these days a nice website. You just, do you know what I mean? At a flick of a finger, really. I think making sure that where the service is based, if they've got an address on there, or an area where they're from, and they've got a mobile number and an email or a landline. There's all these little things you just take for granted, because people just message a Facebook page these days, and they get a response, "Oh yeah, I'm sorted and booked." They don't know who they're giving money to. They don't know.
No, they got to be visitable. I always say, Les, visitable.
Yes. And that's really true. Like, because I'm a wedding photographer. I've got a studio in my garden, quite a big studio in my garden, which I'm in now. But it's where I live, so I can't hide. This is where I live.
No.
You know what I mean? So I think that's really important.
I do too.
Yeah, me too. I think another one. I'm going to add another one. I think we've done 10. I think we've probably done more than 10. But another good telltale sign is the interaction you have with them. So how do they speak to you? Like, what? I am pedantic, but what type of language do they use? Like, you can tell by the customer service, by the emails that they write. That they, that I take enormous pride in, like, my service, and I'm in touch with the couples that hire me. But it's just, even with the emails I write to them, I put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
And quality services will definitely do that. So
it's an experience, isn't it?
Pardon? It's all experience, and I want to know, because I genuinely, I would say I want to know, because I genuinely want to get better at it.
Yeah.
So, after somebody and I performed on the day, I send them out the link where they can leave a review. But I also genuinely want to know what, and I know sometimes people are polite or whatever, but I genuinely want to know what they felt I could improve on. And so that's really, really, it's the most important part of my business is making sure that I over deliver and that my customer service is top notch.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally agree. Okay, Lynn, last one for you, I believe. Got another one?
Oh, well, I think you've covered, mostly everything. It's just, just check and check again, really.
Hi,
like
Nera.
you said, asking friends is a good place to start, but also remember that the friend has only used that service once, so look in other directions as well. And the guild is always there for people, and we get a lot of people, even if they're not booking suppliers from the guild, we often get messages saying, "Oh, have you heard of such and such a business? Are they any good? Are they reliable?" So don't be afraid to message the Wedding Guild of Wales either, because we know, like I said earlier on, 100, there might only be 90 odd people in the guild, but between us, we know hundreds of absolutely fantastic wedding suppliers in South Wales.
Yeah.
So, don't be afraid to send us a message.
Yeah.
Or pop along to the wedding phase.
Yeah.
Or pop along to the wedding. Well, when they can happen again, Les, we're open.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Okay, that is 10 tips done, or maybe one or two more, but we'll try and get all them up. Lynn, thank you so much.
Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed, and I've learned something again. So that's my goal for each of
you. 15 minutes longer, so Rod's going to kill us now. He's probably got a lovely meal waiting for you. You know what he's like.
Oh, I don't think so. He's probably up. He's probably up with the birds now, Les.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Lynn, thank you so much for your time. Wonderful. Lovey Dovey UK and the Wedding Guild of Wales. Heavily involved. Really popular service, and it's always a pleasure, to be honest, Lynn, being at weddings with you. It's always a bit of a giggle as well, and it's always nice
to have Same with you too.
Familiar face there as well sometimes, and you do a wonderful service, so I'm happy to see you around because you always make the bride and grooms happy once you leave.
Oh, thank you.
That's really nice.
You too. Thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Thank you
very much. Have a lovely evening. I hope everybody has learned a lot from this. If you do want to book Lynn, then go to the website, loveydoveuk.com. And Lynn can answer all your questions.
Thank you very much, both. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Lynn.
Okay, thanks. Good evening. Bye. Bye.
Wow. 7 done? Yes.
7 done, but what an episode. Yeah. It's there's loads of really
the more these go on, there's so much information going on here. I'm glad that it goes up so people can rewatch these, because there's so much chatted about. I mean, I didn't realize when we first started doing this. I mean, I knew the guests were knowledgeable, so we wouldn't be having them on. But there's so much information being given out. I would have to rewatch this again to see.
No, we do. Let's be honest. We rewatch this, don't we?
Yeah,
and then we message each other and we're like, "Oh, dude, that bit was really good. That was I didn't think of that. I'm glad we brought that up." So we watch it. So if you look at the views at the bottom at the moment, 20% of them will be me and Les.
Yeah. Neris back. Hi, Neris. Wonderful service as well. If you need cello, I mean, maybe we'll ask her to come on one day. She can do.
I think Neris does need to come on. Absolutely, yeah. If that's okay with Neris, obviously we don't force people on the Wedcast.
No.
You'd be very welcome.
Neris did a wedding with Lynne at Hensel Castle, beautiful venue. We worked there, James, recently, didn't we? Well, not recently, but
did, and it was in my top 3. Another one in my top 3. So it's all about James.
And heard one of the special poems you read, a couple emotional. There you are. So straight from the horse's mouth there. Thank you, Neris, for that. Another little wonderful thing for Lynn there. So that is us overrun again. We're really bad at overrunning lately.
Yeah, we are.
Hour, right? So so thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. We had quite a few.
Thank you very much.
Lovely questions. If you've missed this, then obviously pre-watch it. No, post-watch it.
Rewatch it. Yeah, post-watch it.
Rewatch it on the Wedcast Facebook and the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It'll be up there with our little thumbnail with me, you, and Lynn on it. Thank you, Alex. Another one in there. Great Wedcast.
Thank you very much, Alex.
Cheers, Alex. So thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Next week, same time.
Who have we got on?
We might have some music on next week. Let's say no more.
Let's say no more. We have entertainment on next week, and we have a fabulous, fabulous band. We won't say no more. James, that was the Wedcast.
It's been a pleasure. See you next week.
And we've chatted weddings. Cheers, bro.
We have.